How's it going, YouTube? NLFO here, and I wanted to make for you guys a brief, hopefully, PSA in regards to the upcoming 3.19 Lake of Kalandra League launch, which will be tomorrow, Friday. Um, it's pretty exciting. There's a return of a old boss, the ultimatum boss Chaos, will be making a return with 3.19, and along with him will be all of his accompanying unique items, which will bring back into the game for the first time, and I think it's been like 3 or 4 leagues since the nerf happened, the Val skill archetype, right? It's a sort of a Pathfinder archetype that's a lot of fun and a very quick zoomy mapper that hits really hard. And when you scale this build into the zenith of its potential, you can just drop a boss to his knees in about one cast most of the time, and it feels really powerful. It feels really good. So give me just a second here to sip this coffee, and we will get into the brief synopsis. I do want to say, before I get this train out of the station, that a couple of years ago, I myself made a build guide on pretty much this exact character that gained some traction. I think it was back in Betrayal League, and so it's still available, and for the most part, the fundamental information on how to make this build work and the inner mechanics of how Vol skill characters actually function is very well described within the contents of those videos. I will make mention also, since it seems like the Path of Exile community is a little bit fixated on where the builds originated and who is the progenitor of the information, I will say that there are several other content creators out there who have done similar Vol skill builds. I don't want to sound rude, but Crouching Tuna just like literally directly ripped off exactly my build in the Ultimatum League and made it his own. And that's all fine and good. I didn't make a build guide for it. Oh wait, yeah, I did. So that never mind. But it's okay, because in all honesty, I ripped the build idea off of Cute Dog, and really the only thing that I only just more or less added one item to it to make it my own, and that was functionally different than his, but also archetypally exactly the same as his. And those were done all the way back in like Delve and Betrayal. And the video that I'm going to link in the description is from Betrayals, so obviously the game has changed tremendously since then, but like I said, the mechanical portion of the build guide I go over very comprehensively, and it's for the most part the same. So I just want to talk about a couple things real quick before we hop into the map. This particular staff is something that you will not be able to find in the Lake of Kalandra, more than likely, because the non-aura Vol skills require 40% reduced souls per use, is an underground mod, which means that it comes from a fossil, particularly a bloodstain fossil, and bloodstain fossils no longer produce this outcome. Bloodstain fossils nowadays actually corrupt your item with a guarantee to add a corrupted implicit. So this is unavailable, but the reason that I'm bringing that up is because these scepters, the Yaomac Accord, are going to make a return, like I said, next league, aka tomorrow. And these drop from the ultimatum boss. They're from Chaos himself, and they do actually have the reduced soul gain prevention duration tag on them, albeit at a substantially lower quality, which is unfortunate in my opinion, but it should still be sufficient to make this build comfortable enough to be a mapper. Maybe not necessarily comfortable enough to progress your Atlas by killing bosses. So keep that in mind when I'm describing the rest of this. But a couple other quick things. The Triumvirate Authority Ring was optional. However, it is no longer optional, and I will go into that after I get out of this map that I'm going to show you. And then a few things. You'd probably noticed by now that I have a headhunter, and you might be thinking to yourself, oh, I should just leave. I can't get one of those. This is stupid. It's just another zoom HH build, and I don't want to see this. A micro distillery belt from the heist portion of the game is honestly, in terms of like uptime and sort of ease, quality of life, as long as you have an increased flask charges gained and potentially flask effect on your micro distillery belt, it's gonna be pretty comfortable in terms of the uptime. Actually, it's really not that bad. In fact, before I go into the map, I'll show you the carry of this build is particularly the Soul Catcher. You can't get the Legacy version, obviously, with the 40% reduced soul gain prevention duration. Unfortunately, that's been dropped down to 10. And the reason that I say that the Triumvirate Authority is now a requirement for the build as opposed to just like something that sort of scales it to its zenith is there is a tag on this particular ring. Are we switched? We switched. Okay, good. So the Triumvirate Authority, it's a ring that drops from the Atzirian counter in the either the Apex of Sacrifice or the what do they call it? The Alluring Abyss. And my favorite mod that it can drop with, well, it drops with either 3 from the regular Atzirian counter or 4 modifiers on it from the Uber Atzirian counter, and they're completely random. My personal favorite modifier that it can roll with is Socketed Vol Skills have 20% chance to regain consumed souls when used. That just is quality of life and uptime for your Vol casting, so that feels really nice. The thing that I think is a requirement now, this is a must-have, so these rings are going to wind up being very expensive if they roll this modifier. The Socketed Vol Skills have 30% reduced soul gain prevention duration. This used to be an optional modifier. This is absolutely now a required modifier to have on this ring in order to go fully into the Vol archetype builds, right? So the last thing that's really cool is they can store 1 additional use. The 2 skills that I'm using are Arc and Stormcall, which both only have 1 use each, right? So there are other skills, like for instance, I know Vol Ground Slam I think has 3 or maybe even 4 at baseline. So it's for something like Stormcall, it's straight up a double. It's you've doubled your damage modifier, right? You can cast 1 Stormcall prior to equipping that ring, and then after you equip it, you can cast 2 Stormcalls, literally doubling your damage, which is crazy for boss encounters, especially with the way that shock scaling is going to work out next league, but we're not doing shock on this character. So let's just cruise through this map real quick, and I'll show you what the build looks like, and you'll be able to hear my fingers clacking on some keys over here. When you start the map, you won't have any juice in your Ripper. This flask actually just completely fills up your Vol souls, right? I need 55 souls, I need 25 souls for my Vol Arc to be operational, and I need 30 souls for my Stormcall to be operational, which is why my Soul Ripper flask has 55 charges. So as soon as I press that, I'm good to go. Now, you don't have to wait for this flask to be available to start your map. You could just go in and like hand cast a couple spells and kill a couple dudes, and you'll gain charges that way for the flask, or you'll gain souls for your casts, and one or the other is going to come up first. And I'll show you after this map a way to cheese it so that you can spam your regular cast, because as you can see, we're starving for mana regeneration right now. So let's just get in here and let's get it going. You need to make sure that you press your Soul Catcher flask while you're, when you want to actually cast your Vol skills, because it's going to, 1, reduce the soul gain prevention period so that you can regenerate these souls while the skill is still active, which is obviously how you can create a 100% uptime on the skills. And that's very much like a skill-dependent outcome, right? Like, you have to play the build very well in order to achieve that level of comfortability and uptime. So it's pretty much up to you. And then if, like that, I don't have a Stormcall right now, but I need one, so I can just tap my Ripper, and it's full again. And this is actually my favorite content for this particular build, As you can see, you can just cast your Storm Call right in the center of the ritual, and boom, the ritual's over. Oh, I got baited.
I'm not up to that just
So I'm just
yet.
gonna try and zoom.
My mana is gone.
Starting to lose a little bit of steam, but we've been blessed with another ritual altar. I just want to repeat again, it's very important to make sure that you never cast a Vol spell, the Vol version of the spell, without first ensuring that you actually have your Soul Catcher going. If you happen to cast without having the Soul Catcher up, you'll lock yourself out of the spell for the full Soul Gain Prevention period. It doesn't adjust. It like sort of snapshots at the beginning of the press, right? So that being said, you can even cast the spell at the very last, like let's say your Soul Gain Prevention is going to be like half a second, and you press it at the final pixel of the flask effect. You're still gonna have the lowest possible Soul Gain Prevention period. It just sort of snapshots the that number as you press the button. It doesn't fluctuate during the actual activity cycle of the skill. So it may not look like it, but the build is unbelievably squishy. I only have 3,000 HP, and this is basically like mirror tier investment level at this point. Pretty close to. I've juiced my abysses, so there's a lot of rares in this one. Let's go grab that. Good to go. So, obviously, like, 40 Headhunter stacks, like, duh. Oh, you can no longer activate those during the ritual. Wow. You used to be able to turn that on during it. Uh-oh, I don't have any casts. I'm in trouble. Ooh, just kidding. Okay. So, let's summarize real quick. You will not be able to acquire the blood-stained weapons anymore. I don't know if GGG has any intentions on returning that modifier to rare weapons. It is tremendously powerful. It is one of the most powerful modifiers in the game in terms of damage scaling, in my personal opinion. So it's uncertain as to whether or not we'll see anything in terms of this like magnitude of power for a pretty long time in this particular archetype of skills. Brief summary. What you really want to focus on in terms of your actual Vol skill is the Soul Gain Prevention period. It's something that I've said like 100 times during this particular video. So at baseline, the Soul Gain Prevention period is 7 seconds on Storm Call, and at baseline, the duration of Storm Call itself is 6 seconds. So at base, the Storm Call is not capable of recuperating its own souls. You can't cast Storm Call and regain the souls that you spent on that Storm Call with that same Storm Call, because the prevention period is longer than the activity duration of the skill itself, right? So that's why we use things like less duration support. We also have reduced storm call duration on our helmet, and then we also have a little bit of duration mastery, the less skill effect duration, and reduced skill effect duration on the tree. I don't know if there's any other ways to get this, because I've kind of just like cobbled this together just for this little PSA. I haven't played this character in like a year or so. That being said, there is one fun little trick that I think needs to be put on display, just because the build can feel really clunky in the early stages, and it might put some people off. There's been a couple videos in regards to like bait builds that are going around the community right now, and so I don't want this to be seen as a bait build. This is an end of league character. I repeat, this is an end of league character. This is not a league start character. This is an excruciatingly high investment character that is made out of glass and cannot do quite a lot of the content in the game. In fact, I would probably hazard to guess that only about 50% of the game is available to this kind of a build. And things like pinnacle bosses are basically impossible. Maven invitations, basically impossible with this particular character. You can do them, and I have done them, but they are hard, and it hurts your soul to do them. So this is not something that's going to progress your Atlas very well, but what this will do is it will progress your bank account very well, right? Zoom, zoom, juice, juice. So I showed you that my mana regeneration is really bad, and I can't cast all that many casts. And then on top of that, the Soul Catcher has a line that says, cannot gain mana during effect, right? And so that sucks, right? You press it, and you just stay at 0, right? I have 54 mana, and it's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere, it's not going anywhere, it's not going anywhere. I press the flask again, it's still not going anywhere.
My mana is gone.
It's gone. My mana is gone, 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 okay? But you can press the Lavianga's Spirit, which is a unique flask from the Nemesis League, and even though you have no mana, your skills cost no mana during the flask effect. And these have approximately the same duration. I think the Soul Catcher is a little bit longer. This is just one that dropped in one of the maps that I was doing while I was trying to record this, and it was corrupted, so I thought it was funny and I kept it. But with quality on this, I think you could get it up to almost 5 seconds about. And that'll be pretty darn close to the Soul Catcher. The only caveat here is if your mana is full, the Lavianga's Spirit will not turn on, and then also the Sextant modifier, the players have like instant flasks, instant life and mana flasks, that will brick this so that you just have no mana for the whole map, right? And that's not what we want. Ways to get around that are like Cinder Swallow Urn. That thing has a on kill effect that gives you mana back, so that's kind of nice. Actually, I don't think that works. No, that doesn't work. Don't listen to me. So anyway, Lavianga's Spirit, it's just for comfort, right? I made mention that one of the things that I love most about this character is the Socketed Vol skills have 20% chance to regain consumed souls when used. That means that you have a 20% chance to click the button and spend the souls, and then as soon as the spell is active, it will roll that opportunity, and it will just automatically give you all of those souls back. On this character, 40% of the time, because I also have it on the At Zeri's Reign Crimson Jewel. You can acquire this by just taking any number of regular Crimson Jewels and just slapping a Vol Orb on them, and sooner or later, one of these is going to pop out of there for you. Just in case you haven't seen it before, looks like that. It's kind of like a smoky tourmaline or something like that. Pretty cool. And I don't really actually believe that there are any other ways to get that. So I don't want this video to go too long. I've recorded this like 3 or 4 times already, and I start talking too much at the end here. So what I'm going to say is, if I didn't already say it at the beginning, Crouching Tuna stole this build from me back in Ultimatum and made a couple of build guides on it. and his are pretty good. I would say that the one that I made a few leagues before that is a little tiny bit more accessible in terms of the language and like how I present the information. I would recommend you my own video. However, I will also say that it's like a 30-minute long video, and at the end of it I just start rambling like an idiot, so you only have to watch like the first half, maybe first 10-15 minutes, and then as soon as I get into the map you can go ahead and turn that video off, because that's when it starts getting stupid. If you don't want to watch my video, I took the core of this character came from a cute dog video from way back in like Delve. It might have even been before Delve. I don't actually know, but obviously he's a bit of a memer, so you have to sift through a little bit of misinformation and some silliness in there. But I wouldn't have been able to figure out how to do this if it wasn't for that particular build guide. So do highly recommend. Yeah, so go ahead and check that out, and make sure that you do not make the mistake of making this your league starter. You will have a very bad time. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm excited just simply because this is coming back, but I've hit my second wind with Path of Exile. About a year ago, I got a little bit disenchanted. I was having a bad time. I was having bad RNG. The big stat squish was something that just kind of like broke my brain in terms of how to build a good character. Before the big stat squish, I was able to just like not even look at POB and just like YOLO roll a character and make it all the way to Uber Elder and kill it pretty darn close to every single time, and things just made sense to me. And after that stat squish and the monsters and stuff got buffed, it became much more challenging for me to do that, and it made me feel stupid and bad at the game. And I made a couple of build guides that also had like bad information in them, and I was like, this is... And then I had a whole bunch of terrible things happening in my personal life, and coronavirus was making me very mentally ill. So I just needed a break from like everything. So did some soul searching, worked on some personal stuff, kind of getting my life back on track. Things have been very hard for me. I hope you understand that sometimes people need their space, and sometimes I heard, this is an aside that doesn't really have anything to do with anything, and it's not aimed at any particular person, but I just want to say that in a very important context and from a very authoritative figure, I received the message that hurt people, and I was really hurting for a couple of years there. And I didn't feel like myself, and I do again. And I'm very happy to be back. I'm very happy to sort of have regained my sanity, and I'm happy that I can actually sit down and enjoy this game again. I would sit down, and my first death in a play session would just like ruin my whole day. And I'm very happy to say that I am not that pathetic anymore, and I'm doing quite a lot better. So hopefully you guys are doing good. Hopefully you guys have an amazing league start tomorrow. I think Lake of Kalandra looks so cool. I think it's going to be so much fun. My favorite league is Synthesis. The tablets look so much like the Memory Nexus. I'm so excited, you guys. Oh my god, it's going to be so much fun. I hope you guys like have awesome starts tomorrow. I hope your build works out exactly the way that you planned it out. I hope everything drops that you need. I hope that you don't have disconnect problems. I hope that you get like number 2 in the queue. You know what I mean? Only right behind me, you know? So with that being said, good luck tomorrow. Have a great time. Do your thing. Enjoy yourselves. And, you know, try and take care of one another, all right? If you get the opportunity to, try and do something nice for somebody. I know for me, the past couple of years have been just so hard. And I'm positive I'm not alone in that. So take care of yourself and try to take care of one another. And I'll see you again soon, all right? Take care.